Good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here. It's a wonderful Saturday afternoon. We've got a couple of gentlemen here who are joining us today. We have Wilton and Barry. How you doing, guys?
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out. So the first thing I do, I'm going to ask you, give me your 30-second bio. Who wants to start? Oh, you're going to point. Pointing. We're going to go to Barry.
Thank you. My name's Barry Brown. I'm a musician. I play keyboards, I play drums, do a bit of singing, I write songs. Been in cover bands for years, written my own songs for a lengthy period, and I wrote the lyrics and a few of the songs for our rock opera.
Very nice, very nice. Wilton.
Yeah, my name is Wilton. Been in my own original bands past 20 years, usually formed them all. Guitar player, vocalist, keyboard player, composer, lyricist. Yes, I've been in bands on and off for the past 20 years. For the rock opera, I did a chunk of the music and did some instrumentals on it, and did singing of one of the character parts. Also did the production and the arranging.
Very nice. That's great. We're going to be listening to a few of your songs a little bit later in the show. The audience will have to excuse it's a bit teeny out here because we come to whoever is going to be interviewed. So we are sitting in a cafeteria right now because that was just easiest for everybody. So please excuse the tinniness of it. So before we get to learn more about you guys, we're going to play a few songs. What shows influenced you? Any shows that you liked or influenced? Any one of you?
I'm not a huge musical theater fan, but I really do love Jesus Christ Superstar, and that was pretty much, I've always wanted to do my own version of that in some way or form, and I had tried in the past and was horrible at the lyric writing. Wasn't my thing, even though I thought I was not too bad with the music. It turned into another project, the music I originally had written for it, but after meeting Barry, I decided to give it another try, and so I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah.
Very cool. So what we'll do is we're going to listen to something from Jesus Christ Superstar. So we're going to listen to some songs, and we'll be right back with Barry and Wilton. Welcome back to Be Our Guest. I'm Jean-Paul Yovanoff here on Musical Theater Radio. And we are sitting here with Barry and Wilton, who have written a great rock opera called Do You Remember Me? So how did the two of you meet to create this musical?
Well, I basically just put an ad in, I think it was it Now Magazine or Kijiji?
Kijiji. Yeah.
I actually put an ad in a few different places. Probably Craigslist and Kijiji, looking for a lyricist because I knew I wasn't really up for writing lyrics for a rock opera. Most of the lyrics I wrote for my own projects are a lot more obscure and arty-farty, and I knew for a theater thing you needed to be a lot more direct, right? You needed to get your point across, and that's not the way I write lyrically. So I put ads in the online places, and Barry responded, and a few people responded, but it clicked with Barry a lot better. And so we met up and we talked like we had no idea what we were going to write about, and we just talked about a bunch of ideas. And you had a list of stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I put I did a mind map on it of different topics that I thought might be good kind of subjects. And I'd thrown in, I think, Rabbit Proof Fence, which was around some Aboriginal children trying to escape from it wasn't residential schools as such, which I don't think, but it was a movie on it anyway. And we talked about that, and we said, that sounds kind of interesting. And then we did some research on it, and we were horrified to find that this wasn't something that was kind of unique there. It was happening in Canada to like the mid-70s even, and it was in the States and all over the place, residential schools. And we figured, well, it seemed a good strong subject matter, and it was a case of then going away and trying to pull together a plot for it, if you like, the storyline, and then write the lyrics around it.
Very nice. So when you were doing your research, did you have any other shows that you were thinking about? Maybe topics you were doing, or did this one just catch your eyes so much that you had to do it?
Well, I actually, when I saw the list, I actually didn't know what Rabbit Proof Fence. I just thought it was a really quirky title. So I said, "That's a weird title." So the title actually caught. So what is that? And he sort of told me about it, and then I rented the movie, and it was like, holy wow, that's pretty deep stuff. And I think, as Barry said, you think, oh wow, that wouldn't happen here in Canada because we're so great. you start doing the research and you go, oh boy, we were far from innocent. And so just doing research, I can't remember exactly, just different sites and that. I mean, it's pretty easy to find information on it, and there's been other movies revolving around stuff like that. And one movie I saw was called The Magdalene Laundries. So it wasn't Aboriginal children, but it was in Ireland. They were taking young girls away from their families, or girls that were considered impure or something, and basically throwing them into these church-run schools and basically abused and all that, all in the name of trying to make them outstanding citizens. So although in this case it wasn't Aboriginal, it was still children being forced into these schools, basically, to where they were abused, and all in the name of being turned into better citizens. So in a sense, so even though it's based on the residential schools, it's also, we sort of wanted to bring the idea that just the whole children's thing,
Yeah, it wasn't like a specific story. It wasn't like we found a specific story about particular children or anything like that. It was more of I wrote it in mind of just the whole concept of what had been going on, and trying to put it into I guess taking the role of each of the different characters, so the government side of things, who really thought they were doing a great job and it was the right thing to do, to the children that went through the horrors of it, to the parents that got, where their families got pulled apart, and just trying to write the lyrics from each of those character views, basically.
Well, that's great. What we're going to do, we're going to listen to one of the songs. We're going to listen to Children of a Different Kind from Do You Remember Me? This is Jean-Paul Yovanoff, and you are listening to Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radar. We're sitting here with the creators of Do You Remember Me, the rock opera, Barry and Wilton. And I just wanted to ask you guys, what were your musical influences? What made you perk up when you heard this type of music?
I think for me, Queen, Yes, Genesis, all around that kind of that era. So stuff that was kind of like arty stuff, but well played, complex music to it. Anything really that's got a very open taste, and it's got a really good melody to it and sounds half decent. I'm willing to listen to, and going back to listening to Linda Ronstadt and Nelson Riddle and the sessions they did. I've got the CDs from that, and the songs are just fantastically written. The melodies are brilliant. The arrangements are great, and I sometimes wonder if I was born in the wrong era, because there's just some fantastic stuff from around that period. So it's a real wide range. And in the rock, Def Leppard and a lot of other people around from that era as well. So pretty varied, really.
Very cool. And Wilton, what influenced you?
Some of it, like what Barry's mentioned, I like the progressive art rock, the Yes and the Genesis, Marillion, some of the Jethro Tull, complex rock, rock that had mixed other styles. So, like in Queen, they mix some classical and some jazz into their styles. And the Beatles, of course. And it's actually through listening to some of those bands, like Queen, for instance, that I actually got a bit more into jazz music. Even though they weren't playing jazz per se, they were sort of taking jazz and making it more rock. But it caused me to listen to some more jazz. And some of it's really interesting. Some of it's really good. Really good melodies and really good singing, like Frank Sinatra. Excellent voice, clear voice. Where's the guy that plays the Christmas song?
Bing Crosby?
Bing Crosby. Oh my God! When you hear Bing Crosby, David Bowie, you swear David Bowie loves Bing Crosby. I mean, David Bowie with that low, rich vocal sound is like so similar to Bing Crosby. So that and they didn't sing outside of the range or anything. And I think that's the great thing that I think, in my opinion, some rock singers could take from the old jazz crooners is that sing in your range. Don't try to always push your range, because these old singers, they can probably sing these songs up until they die, because their voice is not going to give out. Whereas you get some of the rock singers where they push the range, they can't hit the high notes anymore and stuff like that. So so some of these old jazz crooners, beautiful, beautiful voices, and I try to incorporate that into my music occasionally also. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so speaking of great crooners, let's play something from Tommy. 'Cause nothing says crooner like the. All right, so here on Musical Theater Radio, we're going to be listening to a track from Tommy. And that was Defying Gravity from Wicked. We are playing that because, I've been talking to Barry earlier, and he said it's one of the shows he'd seen. We are talking with Barry and Wilton, who have written the rock opera Do You Remember Me? And thank you guys for coming out to be a part of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. So, musical theater. I know you guys love the rock and the crooners and things like that, but let's tackle musical theater a little bit. Any shows that you guys have seen or enjoyed that might have influenced you or you just really liked? Who wants to start?
Enjoyed. I went to see Wicked with my wife last year, and that was excellent. It was she's a huge the Wizard of Oz fan, and I think that would be kind of cool to go. And I did check a bit of it out on YouTube to make sure it was going to be like horrendous. It was like, hey, this looks like it's pretty good, and it was. The songs were really good. The vocalists were excellent. The sets were great, and the way they moved the sets around. So that was all pretty neat. And we were talking earlier. I said I think the last musical that I went to see before that was in London when I lived in England, and it was the Rocky Horror Show. It was like eons ago. But I've been listening to stuff recently. I saw the movie Sweeney Todd, the Stephen Sondheim thing, and it's just excellent. The songs are so unusual, I think, in the way that the guy writes. And the use of, the people who's got in the movie scene, you've got Johnny Depp, you've got Alan Rickman, Helena Bonham Carter, and not people that you would naturally expect to go, hey, we're going to have you in a film musical. And they're excellent. The vocals, I don't know what the stage play's like, but for me, it all fits really, really well. And obviously, it's the original, I guess, pretty much the original story, but just the way that they pull that together is great.
Yeah, I love that show. It's a
Yeah.
great show. What about you, Wilton?
I haven't seen a lot of actual musical theater. I know some of the shows, like I grew up with, actually, I forgot about Godspell. My mom had the record for that.
Very nice.
And actually, I like a lot of the music for the Godspell. Again, it's rock oriented, so that really spoke to me. And actually, you know what? I forgot about Sweeney Todd. My wife got the DVD of that. It was like a DVD of the stage play. I forget where it was from, but it was like, I forgot how raw it. I remember just now thinking of some parts, and the guy, I can't remember the lead vocalist guy. He was like, some of those notes were like, wow, it's just very raw, like very, very, almost very rock and roll, like vocal styles. But as I said, I'm not a huge musical theater fan. It's more of a rock fan who likes his rock a bit more on the musical theater side rather than musical theater on the rock side.
We were talking earlier, and same because I've been listening to your other radio station, and I've been having that on, and I've been on the PC and stuff, and listening to it, and it's great because you've got so many different things that I haven't heard, in there. So there's lots of musicals that are I've heard of, and maybe heard the odd song, and the fact that you're playing things that are not mainstream, and it's like, and there's things that I'm going, wow, this is really interesting. I've not, some of the subject matter we were saying, is kind of, wow, I wouldn't have thought of even thinking about writing a musical around that, or the style of it and stuff, and then there's some really good songs where I've gone and then checked out more from that, because and again, if I hadn't listened to the station, I wouldn't have heard them at all. So that's been quite an eye opener, really, of the different styles and things that are out there at the moment, different types of musicals, and just the different singing styles and stuff. It's been really good.
Very cool. Yeah, there's so many different styles out there, and from rock to pop to hip hop, and nowadays anything goes. Right? With Hamilton, the big one, Dear Evan Hansen's really poppy and things like that. So hopefully we're going to add Do You Remember Me to that list that I just said. So we're going to play one of the songs. We're going to play This Is the Way from Do You Remember Me? Here on Musical Theater Radio. Be Our Guest. And welcome back to Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I'm your host, Jean-Paul Yovanoff. We are on location out in Toronto downtown. We met up with Barry and Wilton, the creators of Do You Remember Me. We had to find a nice central location. So if you hear anything in the background, you know what? That's just part of life, right? When you were recording and meeting people. So you've written this rock opera. Now, I've written shows. I know it's not easy. Let's hear about the trials and tribulations you've had to deal with right from the beginning up until now.
You mean apart from fighting each other?
Yeah, no.
Well, no, but this was actually, from that perspective, was painless. We got on extremely well with the whole thing. I don't think we disagreed on anything, but Wilton's going to tell you about some of the trials and tribulations.
Yeah, it's more of my own semi-personal, I mean, Barry was great. I mean, I wanted to approach it differently. In the past, when I've written, I usually write the music first and then write the lyrics. And I was like, you know what? I want to see the lyrics first and see what I can write with that, So that was different for me. So Barry would send a bunch of lyrics, and then I would write the music for it, which it didn't turn out too bad. I thought the writing, or I made rough demos, which, and I send them back to Barry, make sure he thought they were, as far as a basic skeleton went, make sure that he thought they went good, and he said he really liked it. So that was how a lot of it was written. And then when it came down to doing the real recording, I'd done all the demos to a click track, so I went over to Barry's to do the click track for him to play real drums. And I just developed tinnitus like literally weeks earlier. So I'm over at his house, pair of headphones, he's bashing away in the drums, and I got to say, Barry, we got to stop because my ears are going crazy. And basically, nothing happened for a year because I had to deal with tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears, and that was for the first year the most. I wanted to take forks and stab my ears. So that was the major holdup. I had a year to deal with that, both emotionally and just everything that goes. You think you're never going to listen to music again. You think you're never going to hear properly again. You just think it's the end of the world when you hear this buzzing all the time. So anyways, a year later, I came to grips with it and all that. Barry got himself a sort of an electronic drum kit. So then we spent a weekend recording the drums, which all went well. And then after that, it was a lot of it was the recording, because even though I'd done the demos, I figure I consider myself a competent guitar player. Keyboard player is a bit more second. It's not second nature. It's more like fourth, fifth, seventh nature. So I had to come up with keyboard parts. So first I had to figure out what sound I wanted. Then I had to learn how to play that sound. Then I had to actually learn how to play it so it sounded good. So it's almost like, for one verse of one song would take me like, I don't know, an hour to do, because, guitar was no problem. I did all the guitar parts first because I knew what I wanted to hear, but keyboards just took a long time. And so as a result of that was about 2 years just doing those backing tracks for me. And on top of that, I had my own band happening, so I was doing stuff with them. So it was just a long process. Then I finally got the bass player in. He laid down, I think, stuff in about 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weekends. That was done. And then the next thing was vocalists, finding vocalists. So, that took another 2-year period, trying to find the right vocalists, trying to get people to donate their time. And we did. We got some people, and it was great. And that went fairly effortless. I mean, all the vocalists that came in did their work. They learned their stuff on the rough vocal demos, and I gave them a pretty good free rein to improvise on the basic melodies. So, but that still took another 2 years, and in the end, I got fed up, and I just did one of the character voices myself.
So how many years has this been? Now I'm trying to
counting
two and two.
You're looking at about a 10-year period.
Wow.
And poor Barry, I don't know. If he was really frustrated or wanted to kill me, he never really showed it. So, I thank him for hanging on. And I mean, times have changed from 10-year period just in the whole music industry. And I watched my piece of recording equipment, which was sort of when we started working on the rock opera, it was about 2 years old, and it was new to it becoming obsolete. Like really, it's like wow, So once we got all that done, then I had a friend master it, and that took a sort of on and off over the summer, and that went good. So we're looking at about a 10-year period. A lot of it, I'll take the blame on my end, but It
didn't feel like I mean, it might have done for you, but it didn't feel like it was. As you get older, time flies anyway. But it didn't. It's only when we look back and it was like, is it really that long? And I started digging back to sort of like the original. I got the original email and stuff when we traded emails to first get together, and it was like, wow, really?
2008 or something,
yeah,
2005 or something. I can't remember.
It was insane, But I think the good news is that the songs have stood the test of time. So even though they were, it's been over a long period. It's not like we've looked at it and gone,
no,
wow,
this is crap.
Maybe we should just scrap this and start again. It's. I think they've stood up really well, with that, which is good. And as Wilton said, the vocalists have done a really good job. It's always interesting. I mean, originally I was writing lyrics and stuff. I was getting someone else generally to sing, and then I've started writing stuff. So I did. Wilton did the melodies for most of it. I did about 5 songs where I wrote the whole thing, and so I'd done the guide vocals and stuff and things. But so it was interesting to hear somebody else sing it, because I knew how I was going to do it. And like Wilton said, it gave them a bit of freedom there to improvise a bit with it. And I think they did really good. And the same with it was always different when you pass your lyrics to somebody else to put the music to, and you think, well, when we first did it was like, well, I knew what Wilton stuff was like, and I really liked it, and it's like, well, I wonder how this is coming out, and you were doing the same thing, and with yours, it's like, is he going to like this? And it turned out really good.
That's a nice thing about the type of music the rock opera. It's almost timeless. Like, you can't tell when it was written or how it was written. A lot of shows, a lot of songs, they're dated. Let's be honest. It's hard to tell. But the nice thing about this, I listen to the songs and when was it written? It doesn't matter, because it's got that quality of classic rock, which is timeless.
Yeah.
And it's great. And because of that, we're going to let you, the creators, choose the next song. So out of your show, would you rather hear Arrival, Believe, or Lost?
Believe.
Believe?
That's actually one of my favorite songs. Barry wrote the whole thing, but I think it's a great song.
Great. So
what a pal.
I really like it.
So we're going to play Believe from Do You Remember Me here on Be Our Guest on Musical Theater Radio. And that was Can't Help Loving That Man from Showboat, a great classic song. I'm Jean-Paul Yovanoff here on Musical Theater Radio's Be Our Guest. And again, we are here with Wilton and Barry from the rock opera, the creators of Do You Remember Me. Now, in the last segment, we talked about the trials and tribulations of writing the show. Now it's you've got the demos created, it's got written. How and where do you want to take it from here? Like, do you have any nibbles? Have you talked to people? What would you like to see?
Well, ideally, we'd like it performed on stage. We've had a few nibbles. I think Barry's got some friends who have sort of been in the industry, so he's been talking to them. I mean, just like any show business, it's tough. It's tough, right? It's very tough. So you get all the nibbles you can and hope it turns into something. But we do have a script. One of my friends who's sort of in the theater business was nice enough to do a script for us, which was really great, because I think it really there's things you don't think of when you just write the music and the lyrics, right? And he pointed out a lot of stuff like, okay, well, it might work great for the songs, but which character is actually singing to which character, even though we might think it hasn't. He might say yes, but if they're doing that in this song, what are they doing in the next song? So sometimes when it came to the script, we had to change a few things, I think, like not so much the lyrics, just more the context, a few. And I think we changed the order, I think, of one or two of the songs, I think, just to make it more flow. Yeah. But once he did that and all that, it's just like, yes, now it's a story, like it's a real story that really holds together. So we've been, well, mainly Barry, but we've been contacting people and sending out stuff to different university theater programs, and I've been contacting some high school theater programs. And Barry's been.
Yeah, I've been kind of. I'm one of those people that doesn't go to bed very early, and the wife disappears, and I go head down into the basement, and I'm trawling the web trying to find potential contacts and people that I think might have an interest, in performing this or staging it or whatever. And so the web's great for that. And it's just trying to find the right person at the right time. It's just which again isn't easy. Even with the web, it's not easy, but it does make life a little bit easier from the point of you've got that access that you wouldn't have otherwise to. Perhaps particular people, whether it is at universities or whether theatre companies and things like that, and a lot of it's kind of trial and error, and you don't hear anything back, which is fair enough. I don't expect to, but it's we're trying, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not an easy haul. I've had to do it, and it's a little bit of luck and a lot of perseverance. And keep plugging away. And the nice thing is, if you want to learn more about this show, you can head to our website, musicaltheaterradio.com. If you go to our sampler page, you'll be able to see this show and many others and find out any contact information. So if you want to get a hold of Barry or Wilton, just go to the page, and their email and their website and all that information is there to check out the show, learn more about it. Because we would love to see it on stage. And if it happens, let us know, okay? Because we will plug the crap out of it, all right? Because we always want to help new up-and-coming shows survive and grow, and I want to see them on stage. All right.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, that's what we're here for. We love helping you guys. So we're gonna swing to one more song before we let these guys go. It's we're gonna play a little bit of Close to You, a little Burt Bacharach to take us into the next part here on Musical Theater Radio. All right, we are nearing the end of Be Our Guest for this Saturday. My name is Jean-Paul Yovanoff. I am the host, and I want to thank Wilton and Barry, the creators of Do You Remember Me, the rock opera, for coming in and spending some time with me and telling me a little bit about their lives and their show and the trials and tribulations of putting on and creating a musical. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Very welcome.
No problem. So if you want to learn more about their show, you can head to our website, like I said before, musicaltheaterradio.com. Go to the sampler platter section, and you can learn more about how to contact, learn more about the synopsis, and all that fun stuff. Listen to the radio, because we'll be playing songs all the time from theirs and other great shows. But before we go, I have 5 questions to ask you guys, and it's just quick answers, whatever off the top of your head. You can say them at the same time, whatever you want to do. It's just a little find out a little bit about you, and whether we like you or not. Well, the last question is the one whether I like you or not. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Yep.
Question number 1: Sondheim or Weber?
Weber.
Sondheim.
Ooh, you guys work well together. I don't know if you know this one. Dear Evan Hansen or Come From Away?
I've only heard one track from Dear Evan Hansen. A couple of tracks actually, and they're actually very good. And I've not heard anything from the other one.
Okay,
So,
well, I will cut you some slack on that one. Excuse me. Jukebox musicals, good or bad?
It's
What is jukebox musical?
It's basically where they take like Mamma Mia, where it's all ABBA songs, or something like that.
I think good for certain people that like listen to greatest hits albums and stuff like that. But I guess there's not. To be fair, I haven't seen any of the shows, but I'm guessing there's not a lot of innovation in there. There's nothing. It's just like let's throw these songs together because people like them.
Yeah, I would much prefer hearing original material.
Yeah.
Like, Do You Remember Me? Maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Musicals from movies, good idea or lazy?
Lazy, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Again, I would prefer to see an original idea on stage rather than just rehash the movie.
I guess a lot of it's one of those usual things. It depends on how well it's done as to whether it's good. But yeah, it probably is I think we'll go lazy. I don't really go on that one. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Last question, most important question. Food in the theater, yes or no?
No.
Yeah, I'll probably say no.
Correct answer. Just to let you know, correct answer. Yeah. I can have you back at some point.
Okay.
I will keep playing your songs.
Why not? I like the crinkly little apples.
Man, there's a driving. Oh, the popcorn on the floor, the drink. I'm just. I will rant if I keep going on this.
Yeah.
All right.
That or people that go to the shows and then want to talk through it. It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
Go outside.
Yeah.
You want to chat? Go to the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Or when they come in, there's a big bucket. Throw your phone in.
Yeah.
Oh, those people drive me insane. All right. Well, once again, thank you, Barry and Wilton, for joining me here today. I know we improvise. We're out in a cafeteria, but you know what? We come to you. We do whatever we can to help you guys promote your show. So once again, Barry and Wilton, do you remember me? Again, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. That was Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, Jean-Paul Yovanoff. We will see you again next Saturday with a whole new guest list. All right. Enjoy the rest of the songs and see you next week.